Ladies and gentlemen, this has been such an engagement, such an amazing session that we have totally enjoyed, and we have learned so much. The panel speakers that have been there, they are crisp and they have been seasoned. So we want to go to a discussion where why CIOs' relationship with the business is stronger than ever. And we have lined up such a panel for you, and I'd like to just introduce the panelists who are going to be here. We have the head of IT, HF Group, someone that I know who is extremely passionate about connectivity, about AI and IoT. This is none other than Boniface Owino. Welcome on board, Jacom Mwenyewe. And we also have Alken Patel. He is the CIO at Bidco. We also want to welcome you on board with us here. And finally, we are going to have the CIO for Kenya Airways. This is one gentleman. I always appreciate how he says the customer is the true north. This is none other than Peter Mungai. And to moderate this fantastic and wonderful session, he is the head of partnerships and content at CIO East Africa. He is passionate about coming together and bringing together people whenever they're having these particular panel discussions. This is the man who puts everything together. When we're coming to the panel discussions, the moderators, the speakers, this is the one true man who brings it all together. And we love him and appreciate him. And this is none other than Humphrey Odhiambo. Take it away, Humphrey, as you moderate this session and take us to the next level. Karibu and Ero Kamano. That is Luo for thank you.
Wow, what an eloquent introduction, Ian. Thanks for having energy, even when we think that we still need to refuel while getting to the lunch session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us to this special session that we are going to have with Chief Information Officers from diverse sectors of our economy. Now, key to this, as Ian has actually highlighted, is why CIO's relationship is getting even much stronger in business, probably than ever before. Now, the coronavirus pandemic has disrupted businesses worldwide, but IT resiliency has remained one of the bright spots thanks to the hard work and sparkling relationship of the Chief Information Officers. Delegates, as you join me, the CIOs and, in fact, the technology leaders are squarely pushing the boundaries on long-term technology imperatives. Case in point are areas that relate with digital transformation, of course, data, analytics, and customer centricity to position the businesses for success either now and, of course, in the future. In fact, I'm so privileged this afternoon to be joined by very prolific speakers. That is Alken Patel. Thanks, Alken, for joining us from Bidco. That's from the manufacturing area. And join me also to welcome Peter Mungai. Talk of Kenya Airways. Indeed, we are flying still because of the reasonable and impactful work that the CIO at Kenya Airways is doing. Boniface could not be left behind in this discussion. I noticed that my AMC was introducing him as Jacom. Karibu sana, sir. And I'm going to plunge right into the first question. Gentlemen, and this question, may I pick it with Alken Patel. Are CIOs getting more vibrant in business now than ever before? What are your thoughts, sir? Alken?
Thanks, Humphrey, for having me. Yeah, so as I always, say that CIO has played a very vital role in this pandemic. Since last 2 quarters, they have been working so hard. They've been working with business hand on hand. Either it's been providing a work from home solutions, or let's look at the setting up online meetings, or changing the business processes, cutting down the bureaucracy, or alternative digital channels for the communication. Uh, so seeing that, the CIO has shown the resilience now in this pandemic. By doing that, what has happened is now the businesses and the CEOs, I would say they've been now looking at the CIO is no more a technical role. They've been looking at it that these guys are business leaders with an additional responsibility of about the G. So considering that, I would say that yes, as we speak today, this role of CIO and the relationship between the CIOs and the CEOs and the businesses actually are at the peak. It was being before stronger, but now it is at the peak. So it's an our job to, let's go ahead and leverage that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alken. Quite useful information that you have shared with us there. Um, I would like, Peter, perhaps you could chime in also as you introduce yourself further.
Thanks, Humphrey. Yes, Peter Mungai, Kenya Airways. The title is Acting CIO. However, things have changed now. CIOs and IT practitioners in general have actually become closer to the business, and this was actually accelerated by the COVID situation. And I think Alkane has actually articulated that. But I'll just go on to add that IT is now being viewed as not only a business enabler like it has always been in the past, but more importantly now as a driver of the business. So for CIOs, you've got to really understand the business. The team has to be attuned to what's happening in the business. Um, General hygiene in terms of uptime, ensuring that resilience is in place, that is very important because a downtime will obviously create a lot of situations that can adversely affect the business. But now we're looking at the next frontier. And the next frontier is what can IT do to enhance the organization, to drive objectives, be it the customer, be it sales, revenue. We've got to be on that discussion. And I find that IT now is really now becoming a player on the table.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. I could swing this now to Boniface. You could jump in and just share your insights on the same as you introduce yourself further, sir.
Thank you, Humphrey, for having me here. And just by way of introduction, I know much has been said, and it was a fantastic way of introducing me. And what's my name? I'm the head of IT operations at HF Group. Of course, no majority of us know HF Group as an integrated property and financial solutions provider with interest in banking, bank assurance, and of course, property development. At HF, I just make sure that always ensuring that the core infrastructure, IT service management, end user support, of course, the first level application support is on. So just to the topic, I think it's key. The CIOs are getting stronger and stronger right now because even during this period of pandemic, it has been very critical. I remember at the beginning, we had to start running around because of the various business requirements. People need to work from home. People need to work from anywhere. And it is these the various tools that we have to give the people to enable them work maybe remotely. We have to enable them to either collaborate and communicate with each other. We have to meet also business requirements through digitalization because most of the customers right now have moved. So we have to meet requirements, and CIOs and IT leaders are now at the center stage to ensure that we are able to achieve. Thank you, Humphrey.
Thank you so much, Boniface. I would like now to, still to you, Boniface, you could kindly point to us, particularly from the financial perspective, where an area that you serve. Okay, I noticed that there is an internet lapse on your end, so I'll swing this question to Alken. To what extent are businesses, from your perspective, are adjusting and indeed coping with the new normal that we are plunging ourselves into?
So according to me, Humphrey, I would say that this is a new normal now. What we are operating now, it's a new normal. What do we expect as going forward? It may be the version of what we've been doing now as an IT sector. We see that always, now the businesses are being accepted that work from is an work from.
Okay, I notice again the challenges that we are having, especially with the internet. Kindly, if your waves are okay at Cio'S, my brother Peter, the same question, please. How are we adjusting in business right now, and how are the CIOs ensuring that this becomes sustainable? Peter, I think you're on mute, sir. Unmute.
Sorry about that.
Welcome back, sir.
All right, so taking your question into a little more context, if you look at the discussion point at the very beginning, it's about how is IT assisting the business, or how is IT becoming a business enabler and driving business objectives. The key thing for CIOs and IT practitioners big data. For a business unit, for example, in our case, cargo, for example, the general manager of cargo doesn't care to understand what big data is, or doesn't care to understand what transformation stands for. But he knows his customers and he knows his objective, and he's looking to see how he can actually try and build on that. So as IT, we need to understand the business, get involved in understanding what is a driver for that particular business unit, and then start to articulate some of the things that we know in the background that can definitely start to make changes for them and start presenting it to him. So customer insights, he'll understand that. And that is how he knows he's going to be able to start being able to get more customers and start driving the business objectives and increasing revenue. So as an IT practitioner, you need to be closer to the business partners and understand what's going on, and then translate that into actual value that is actually consumable by the business unit. So in essence, it's about IT CIOs, IT practitioners getting closer to the business, getting embedded, and really getting insight what is actually driving that.
Thanks so much, Peter. Very insightful. Patel, you actually in the course of giving us some insights before there was an internet lapse. Would you like to chime in at this juncture, please?
Yeah, if you can hear me, can you hear me well?
I can hear you now very clearly, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Humphrey. So what us saying that when we talk about the, let's say, next normal, what is it? It's just a version upgrade in our technical language when we talk it that. Whatever is been happening today is going to accelerate as going forward now. When we go to year 2021, the things won't go back to the old normal plus vaccinated world. It's going to, it's like online meetings are going to happen, the online trainings, the working from home is being accepted, online board meeting we have seen so far. So many things has been changed if you look at it in the last 2 quarters. We have seen actually the rise in the cyber security platform, as well as we have seen the rise into the data privacy and data protection platform. Now, if I talk today is that when you evaluate the project now, where what kind of the infrastructure you want to build, there is no kind of a comparison is going to happen that we non-premise or we go for a cloud computing. Now, businesses understand, CEOs understand that cloud computing is the way to go. So in that way, the things have been changed now after the COVID pandemic. So my understanding is that in next normal, it's actually the wonderful world is going to come now for an digital transformation journey. So that's my thoughts on this next journey. Thank you, Humphrey.
Thanks, Patel. I believe now we have back Boniface. Boniface, we would like to share with us the kind of experience in terms of sustainability that CIOs are having in the financial front. To sustain the businesses. Boniface, can you hear us? I guess I'll still swing again back
Okay,
to...
thank you, Humphrey. I totally agree.
Okay, now I can hear you, sir. Sorry about that lapse.
Sorry, so I was just saying I agree with Alken and Peter because focus is now shifting toward ensuring that businesses are trying to forge through any future disruptions, because just like we've learned from this disruption and the lessons that we've learned, the CIOs and the IT leaders are now trying to evaluate the businesses, various ideas they've had in plan to do, and just to make sure that they are properly positioned and just they are well optimized to be able to get the proper return on investments, as well as getting the investments. They're trying to create the funding. So I think that's very key as part of a contribution of the CIOs and IT leaders towards making sure that the adjustments the businesses are making will give that return investment that is required. The IT leaders as well are currently trying to cast the leadership, putting in place the right team that can be able to make them achieve the technology requirements in terms of the new that we have, like AI, maybe IoT, and the clouds that we have. Because the digital dispensation, because of the customer requirement, has become a necessity. And therefore, that is another way to CIOs can plug in just to ensure that the mentoring that their customers still ask and get the best service that they need. Thank you, Humphrey.
You've more or less read my mind in the next question that I was going to ask, indeed. But let me swing it over to Peter. What are some of the technology-driven imperatives that CIOs and indeed heads of IT need to really take into account as we plunge into this new normal, which Alken has really emphasized? It's a new phase of life, indeed.
I think to answer that question, I'll start with looking at the silver lining that is COVID. Yes, it has been a lot of doom and gloom, but the one thing that has happened, and it's important that I just try and phrase this well, it has given IT practitioners, has given the CIO that prominence at the table. Because all of a sudden, in a very short period of time, people needed to work from home. People were working from other places other than the main office space as created. And that got IT really on the right foot of being a discussion point with the business units. And nothing could happen without IT on the table. With that said, we've gotten a window of opportunity to really be at the table to start driving the agenda, because all of a sudden we're not just a support function trying to solve problems. Now we're at the table where we have the opportunity to start driving objectives, like I mentioned earlier. So talking about the new normal, it's about IT practitioners and CIOs seizing this opportunity and not letting go, because all of a sudden you're able to now start using the technologies that are needed to start driving the business objectives. So with that said, key in this new normal, as you call it, is security. Security is critical. With people working from disparate spaces, everybody understands the kind of challenges that are on the table. Even the board members now are really asking some of these questions. Internal governance, security posture of the organization is key. So that's going to be one of the key elements. Number two is about data, understanding data. Now, again, back to IT, we understand what data is, big data, but it's about being able to translate that into business objectives to start driving customer satisfaction and getting insights to drive the business moving forward. There's going to be data and security. That's where I'm coming from.
Very, very insightful, sir. Alken, you could still elaborate further on, or even additional ideas on where would be the starting point for this preference on technology-driven technologies that the CIOs really need to plug into going forward.
So I agree with Peter, and in the point is that data security, and from to bottom everybody is worried about the data security, data privacy, and then on the other side the techie guys have been worried about that, how to handle the cyber security. So these are the main concerns are going to as forward. But I think we have to adopt that. We have to accept that this is going to be the new challenge for a CIO now. Also, one more thing we need to understand that some of the word has been limited to the IT users, now being actually used by the Wananchis also. Let's accept the fact is that quarantine is a very, very popular thing which we do in day-to-day basis in our practice years. But now even everybody knows that what's the word of quarantine. So on a lighter way, that digital tools are no longer being, we are not a custodian of a technology. We actually have to leverage the technology now and provide the user-friendly experience to the consumers, or maybe even the society, or to the global village. But to my understanding now, as we go now, I think is that now the serious challenge which the CIO is going to now face is that the spending is going lesser compared to the previous years now. The businesses are being, much cautious about their spending. How do we manage the budget? So CIO has to look at it either asset light project, or they have to let's say look at it in the way of OPEX kind of a model, or cost revenue sharing model, or complete offshore the project. Okay, these are the serious challenges which IT has to look into it, apart from the technology side of it. By saying that, once again, the IT leader should not be forget that they have to keep continuously demonstrating their empathy to the end users. The app or the solutions or whatever the applications you're going to develop, it has to have an user friendly. You don't have a time to go to each users and demonstrate that. Either you leverage the online platform or you leverage the e-training, but the empathy has to be there in whatever you do as leaders, because you are not considered as an IT leader now. You have shown, and then you become like the chief crisis officer when the business will require somebody to do the rescue. So that's something IT leader has to be keeping that thing in mind as going forward.
Great. Boniface, just on the same, where should we increase our focus on this new paradigm that we are facing now?
Okay, thanks, Humphrey, once more. I think business continuity will also be very important going forward, because we have seen quite a lot of disruption, especially in the area of personnel. We've had all these lockdown, we had this normally when
I'm troubled. I think we've gotten some internet challenge there. I was just asking about where we need to increase our momentum. The first two speakers have alluded to it. But Alken, is there any area that you think we can increase our focus or more concentration on right now, since we have had last 9 months of deeper experience in this new phase of doing things?
I would say that, yeah, we have learned a lot. We actually been caught overnight that all of a sudden the country gets into the lockdown, and we plan that our employees and our users has to work from home and all that. But now at least we learned from there. And then now let's look at it this way as in CIO now. as going forward, maybe the vaccine is next door now. When the vaccine is arrived in the country, are we our supply chain management, or are our logistic things, or trace and traceability and tracking and all that? Or are these technologies are up to date? So when we have the vaccine, we able to manage that it has been spread across the country, and we can kind of get rid of the COVID as far as, let's say, Kenya is concerned. So those kind of future readiness has, it's more or less, as an IT leader, we start thinking about it, that what's going to happen once the vaccine is coming to market. That's the first point. The second point, if I look at it in the FMCG part of it, generally when you deploy the digital technology, digital solution, there is always been sometimes a push. Now there is a serious pull. There is a serious pull from the customer. There is a serious pull from the consumer as well as the enterprises. Are we ready to fulfill that demand of the digitalness? Everybody wants solution to be used either on the phone or a computer and wherever they are. I think one of the sessions we have seen that now we don't say that work from home, it says work from anywhere. So our applications, our solution has to be designed and installed and implemented in that way. So that's a main area. But more or less, if you look at it, the technology point of view, there are two major things which is coming out from our learning. One is the cloud computing or cloud infrastructure, and the other one is in security. So that's a two area which will be, we should be focusing on as a CIOs. Thank you.
Fantastic, Alken. Very, very, very insightful, I must add. Boniface, now that you are back, I was asking about where we need to increase our momentum, and indeed you're alluding to a very critical component that inclines towards human resource. Your point again, sir.
Yes, Humphrey. I was just mentioning that it will be key at this time also to ensure that we have proper business continuity, because I think at this time we've had a lot of challenges, especially with personnel continuity, because from time to time, either we have a problem within a department in terms of COVID infection or something like that, and we most of the time would have these people either isolated or in quarantine, and therefore it impacts the performance of the business in terms of personnel delivery. So I think business continuity, personnel business continuity going forward will be very important for the CIOs, because CIOs will enable this through either ensuring that systems are working correctly and can easily be accessed by the personnel working remotely. Say an example, by adopting either cloud strategies or systems that can allow various workers or personnel that are probably working from home to be able to work on them. Say an example, you take an example of software developers. They probably have a better hand to be able to work from home simply by working on the software, the say functions that they need to deliver, and probably they bring it together to be integrated. So I think business continuity for the personnel will be very important. Hand in hand with that will also be for the CIOs and IT leaders to make sure that we have effective collaboration tools, because these teams that are working anywhere, anytime, definitely need to communicate. They need to be able to share ideas. So it will be very important to give clear guidelines on how they're able to collaborate and to be able to deliver for the business. Thank you, Humphrey.
That's so awesome, sir. Boniface, you've given us a real drive, and you've painted a proper human component in all this. It's not really just about the technology that we deploy this time round, but it's how we are actually going to utilize it at the end of the day. Gentlemen, we are coming to the end of this particular session. I'm being prompted that it's only 2 minutes, 21 seconds, and I would like to give each one of you a privilege of 30 seconds. May I reduce it to 29? I have just minus 1. And I'll begin with Peter. Your parting shot, please, in this session, having noticed about the challenges that we are having noticed about the opportunities that we are having. What would you say is your parting shot, and what would you advise colleagues, peers, within the information strata.
Thank you, Humphrey. For me, the parting shot would be around get on the table to start understanding the business, how it's working, start coming up with solutions. We've seen a lot of organizations not meeting their revenue targets, cash is tight. So, based on that, what can IT do to fill in that gap? And the technology is there. We just never had the opportunity to actually put our best foot forward to try and drive that. Now it's a real clear and present situation that we find ourselves in. So automation, digitization, put it on the table. Start to see what you can try and do with less. With a lot of downsizing that's happening in organizations, how can IT step in to fill in that gap so that the ultimate business objective is not left out? Uh, that's the only thing I can say right now. The bottom line is just understand the business and start coming up with solutions that can drive business objectives.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. May I swing to Alken, please, on this particular one? Your parting shot to industry peers.
I'd say Industry 4.0 is now no longer a goal. It's actually knocking your door. So don't let that opportunity go from your hand. As an IT leader, you accelerate the digital transformation now because it has picked up the pace. Our job is to let's accept and achieve the fulfillment of all the business requirement. Also, there won't be any further IT projects in the industries. It will be a business project. Only the IT will be a technology enabler on that. So let's start taking this challenge. We have seen that the challenge has been faced to the CIOs. They have bounced back always. They have come out much stronger and stronger. So let's take up that challenge. And one more thing is that focus on fail fast because speed is the most important thing. Time to market for your solution, it's very critical. I would say that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much, Alken. And to Jacom, you could give us the panning shots, then we sign out from the studio, and in fact, wish our colleagues good appetite for the lunch that I'm sure is ahead of them right now, sir.
Thank you, Humphrey, once more. I think for me, CIOs currently, courtesy of this pandemic, I think they have the ears of the boards of directors and the CEOs more than ever. And I think they should use this opportunity to identify business digitization needs and subsequently also track the return on investment. As well, they should evaluate and expand skill bases for technology requirements within their staffs. And I think the last one that I would say is for them to regularly evaluate their security needs and data privacy issues. I think just a few days ago, we had the data commissioner sworn in, and I think this will be a very big one for CIOs just to make sure that data is not lying anywhere, anyhow. So I think that would be key. Thank you, Humphrey.
Very important point you have actually mentioned there. We should not let our data just getting trailed all over. Our dear delegates, this is what we had for you, and indeed the case is so well justified. CIOs have got now a more tighter relationship to business than ever before. It is bound even to get much stronger. It is a tight relationship. And signing out now, I salute you, gentlemen, for that articulation this afternoon. I wish you all the best, plus the industry growth for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Humphrey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Humphrey Odhiambo, and that exciting panel for that particular discussion. We totally enjoyed that. And thank you for your time. Thank you for just articulating the topic so well. We totally appreciate that. And also now we want to appreciate our sponsors. We have VMware, Dimension Data, thank you very much, Reddington, Palo Alto, Intel, we have Huawei, we also have Fortinet, Intrasoft, we have Manage Engine, Synchron, and last but not least, Convergence Network Solutions, where I'm also an employee there. So please make sure that you can be able to go and visit the booths, get the brochures there, and also make sure that you are able to book meetings with those particular sponsors. All right, they'll also be open tomorrow, so please make the engagement there, and we'll definitely have a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, that was an amazing day, and we totally appreciate each and every one of you. Tomorrow is the grand finale, the icing on the cake, and the cherry on top. We are going to have a gala dinner that is going to be at Lake Naivasha Resort. So you can get your ticket at the CIO website, that is www.cio.co.ke, and the ticket is going for $150. The dress code, it's open. You can come in African, you can come with your glitz and glam, so it's an open dress code. But just make sure that you dress to kill, all right? And it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of you there for the gala dinner. Who is going to be the CIO of the year? I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait to see. I'm totally pumped, and I'm also excited just to see who's going to be in there, all right? And definitely we want to do a little bit of jig, as you know, here at CIO TV. We just don't close the session like that. We want to prepare you as you go for your lunch, and please, wherever you are, just put on your dancing shoes, put the seats aside, get some little space, and then we can be able to proceed from there. All right, Mr. Director, you have the gig. Can put the nice song. Wherever you are, just make sure that you've got some space, and then we want to prepare ourselves for the gala dinner. So make sure that you have some space wherever you are, and it's going to be an amazing, amazing session. I want to make sure that I popped off and make sure that I'm ready to get into the dancing game. All right? So we want to take it a little bit to South Africa, all right? And this is a nice South African song, okay? Put it here, and look at yourself at the mirror. As you get ready for the gala dinner. Like the South Africans, just move your body. We have a border now, we're born anymore. Choose to mask Taylor. We have a border now, we're born anymore. And the choose to mask Taylor. We have a border now, we're born anymore. Choose to mask Taylor. We have a border now, we're born anymore. And it's in a system. And the John Fulligan. You're such a success. And it's in a system. And the John Fulligan. And it's in a system. And the John Fulligan. Regardless of everything. Totally appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this signature day one event, the CIO100 Symposium and Awards. We have been really excited to have you here with us. Those were amazing panel discussions, and we're celebrating 12 years of CIO100. And how best to celebrate this than have it live on air here at CIO TV. Thank you so much. Hand on heart, we appreciate each and every one of you for your engagement. Our sponsors, our delegates, the panelists, the speakers, we appreciate each and every one of you. We're looking forward to having you here tomorrow, and we're going to have an equally exciting session. We're going to take it higher and higher. So thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your afternoon. See you here tomorrow, and let's all meet at Naivasha tomorrow evening. My name is Ian Merore, and I have been your moderator for the session. Thank you very much, and happy International Day to the men, to the ladies. We love you and appreciate you. Thank you very much.